I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Jar Sports Podcast that brings you facts, opinions, my opinions, and of course you guys decide if you like it, hate it, or want to steal it, of course. And this is a good week of NFL football. You know what? I'm going to be honest. Football has been okay. If you're a normal football fan, it hasn't been absolutely spectacular if you're a football fan, but this week was a week you can say was both. It was great. It was spectacular. All the above. This is one of the weeks for the books, and I'm pretty sure you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I mean, this week was insane. I mean, we had shootouts, we had comebacks, we had last-minute field goal kicks, we had last-minute drives that ultimately resulted in nothing. I mean, we had some really good things going on this week for the NFL season. Let's start overseas. Why not? Let's start overseas. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings versus the New York Jets. Now, if you know me, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. Been an Aaron Rodgers fan for the longest. But I'm going to have to call a spade a spade. He looks old. He looks indecisive. He looks frustrated. Looks fatigued. I don't want to say lost as much. I just don't. I mean, he looked good against New England, but New England stinks. But these last 2 weeks, and I apologize for missing last week, things happened, but that's why I'm here to keep you guys up to speed. The last 2 weeks, he's looked subpar. Now, his offensive line has been absolutely ridiculous. They can't block anybody. I mean, with the exception of Deshaun Watson getting slaughtered, Aaron Rodgers is, every time you look up, he's on the ground. I mean, and he's too old. He can still show he can be elusive and run around a tad bit, but that's really what he doesn't want to do. That's when he's at his best, but that's when he's at his best on his own terms. He's older, so he can't decide that anymore. He has to run and figure things out, and his receivers are not on the same accord as him. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, the only one that looks like he is Allen Lazard, and he can't catch a pass. So you're really stuck with Garrett Wilson, who we all expect to be really good once he got Aaron Rodgers. And I know we'll say, hey, the offense, from what I'm understanding, is, ancient, whatever, but that has nothing to do with drop passes. People running routes, giving up on routes, and being honest, even if it wasn't Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson doesn't look like a number one. He looks like a good receiver, but he doesn't look like a for sure number one. And Mike Williams is coming back off an injury, a major injury, as per usual every year. So he's catching up to speed, and I mean, he's pretty much in a total a whole new offense himself. So and Breece Hall, I'm gonna get to him. I don't want to forget him. He is supposed to be this tremendous runner. With their line not being as good, he's as good as the line is. Honestly, he's not super good at, I expect him to be great, and he's okay. So really, let's talk about the defense. The defense has allowed, I think, 408 yards in 2 games. This is the first time they've allowed 23 points this season. So as bad as they may have played the first game, Denver didn't do anything good. New England didn't do anything good. And Minnesota finally did, but even still, they put the offense in a position to win. So the defense has been doing their job. It's the offense that's been struggling. And again, it's a lot it has to do with. I'm going to blame it on Aaron because he's supposed to be the thing that's going to change everything, but he's not. It is what it is. And Nathaniel Hackett, again, I don't go into coordinators, whatever the case may be. I don't go into, he's not great, he sucks. I let the real experts decide that. I'm just going on what I see out there on the field. And they just look subpar. The receivers look okay. They don't look great. There's no separator, if that makes a difference. And with all that being said, they still had a chance to win at the end of the game. On a drive that Aaron Rodgers was wheeling and dealing. They looked good. And right when you know it, him thinking he could do what he did with Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, so forth and so on, he tried to do a back shoulder fade pass with Mike Williams. And Mike Williams kept going. And it was a pretty good defender. He's a little longer than Stephon Gilmore. He pretty much read it. He kind of sat on it. It's kind of like he knew what Aaron was doing, and maybe he'd have broke the pass up versus intercepted it, but Mike Williams had no clue. He kept going, and Stephon Gilmore stayed, and it was interception. And that's not even to mention the first 2 interceptions at the beginning of the game. They were just poor decisions. One, a linebacker, Winkler, so I can't remember his name, but he read it. I mean, you can't knock a good linebacker for making a great play and reading things. I don't care how good you are as a quarterback. Sometimes a good linebacker that knows, they know. But the overthrown one after that was pathetic. That was un-Aaron Rodgers-like, but that showed that he's trying to force feed and find his guys. And I think at times he wants to at least be able to know he can push the ball down the field. I just don't think he can with this group. Or maybe it's just the offensive coordinator and what they're doing. Either way, it just doesn't look great all around. So, I don't know. In the end, Minnesota remains victorious. Sam Darnold didn't play the best, but he played good enough to win. They kind of limited Justin Jefferson, so you can't complain. The defense did everything. They still lost, though, however, 17-23, and Minnesota is 5-0. So Minnesota is looking real good. I'm going to say this again. Sam Darnold, MVP candidate. I know it's not a sexy name to hear, but, hey, this is the game of football. Unlike a lot of sports, you go on what you see. And what you see is a team that's 5-0 with a quarterback that's playing great, barely turning the ball over. I think he has a total of 3 interceptions and like 12 touchdowns or something like that. Either way, it's great stats. They're 5-0. The defense is balling. Brian Flores, the guy who Miami gave up on as a coach, is doing his thing over there in Minnesota. So I'm happy for him as well, because you know how they treated him. So Minnesota is the unexpected team that we didn't expect to be doing what they're doing, and they're doing it. That leaves us to wonder what's next for the Jets. We'll talk about that. Another good game, or not so much a good game, but a good player, the rookie Jaden Daniels. He just keeps winning. I mean, I don't know what we thought with Washington, and I'm talking about me, you, everybody. We did not see this. We thought maybe they would be okay. You know, they got a lot of different players. Brian Robinson, Eckler came over there, McLaurin. So they got a bunch of good weapons, but we didn't know how good Jaden McDaniels would play. So even for me, I was a little surprised, because usually I'm on top of that, especially with the underdogs. I like to see the underdogs shine, because I believe everybody should eat and everybody should get an opportunity as long as they're showing a potential. I just didn't see this coming. I mean, let's be honest. He really hasn't played exceptionally well, but he's making the right plays. Like even this game, he played against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have great defense. He threw 1 touchdown. He threw 1 interception. But he's always running the ball. He's always making the right play, and that opens up the offense to more things. I mean, Brian Robinson, these guys are playing amazing. Literally, they're playing amazing. So if you want to say he isn't doing a lot to be considered MVP, because I know I was hearing some things about MVP. I don't think it's that far, but I think for what he's doing for this team, leading the league in 82% completion percentage, he's doing everything right. I mean, Brian Robinson Jr. had 2 TDs running the ball. Jeremy Nichols had 1 TD running the ball. And, of course, you had Jaden McDaniels. I mean, he had 82 yards rushing on 11 attempts. So he's doing what he needs to do. Again, RG3-esque from when he was on the Washington Commanders that time ago. So as long as they're winning, that's all that matters. Because if you look at the way they're playing, they don't come out with a lot of, let's say, expectations. I'll say that they don't come out with a lot of, oh man, they're gonna blow somebody out the water. But the problem is, you don't know what the kid's gonna do next, because he's electric. He's something that you want to see. He's must-see TV, and a lot of times with must-see TV, it isn't always about the stats. It's about what you want to watch. And they're leading the NFC East with a 4-1 record. So that means they're ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, they're ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're ahead of the New York Giants, with a rookie quarterback. So I don't know if he's going to get MVP, which he probably won't, but that rookie of the year, Offensive Rookie of the Year looks really good for him, and I'm happy for the guy. I mean, I'm all for the guys who's showing the potential, and if he's going to show it, why not show it? So, good luck, Washington, going forward. You guys are amazing to watch. The Texans versus the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen versus Stephon Diggs, if you want to say the get-back game. Honestly, at first it looked like the Texans were going to run away with the game because they just have the better talent. Let's be honest. Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. I mean, they just have the better weapons. Dalton Schultz. They just have the better weapons. I mean, it is what it is. Now, their running back is out, whatever the case may be, but with the weapons that they have, they don't necessarily need him, especially with the way CJ is throwing the ball. Now, let's be honest here. I don't think CJ is playing as good as he could play. I don't know. Just maybe it's his, second year and people are getting used to him, whatever the case may be. But he's playing good enough to win, and he's still making the right decisions. And with that talent and that defense, D'Amico Ryan's leading them, they're going to always be in the games. And with the right quarterback that make the right decisions, they're always going to be at the end. It's just all a matter of, is he going to make a decision at the wrong time when it comes down to the end of games or when it comes down to the end of the season? But for right now, they look good. On the other end, with the Buffalo Bills, they're going backwards. Now, let's be honest with the Buffalo Bills. They looked good at first. I mean, they played some pretty crappy teams, if you want to be honest. And then when they went up against some good teams, meaning Baltimore and Houston, they lost. Josh Allen is running for his life. His defense is, everybody's gone or somebody's hurt. His weapons, they're all young. I mean, you got, again, Keon Coleman did have a good standout game where he had a breakaway for 49 yards, and he had a touchdown, but that's it. Dalton Kincaid. They just don't have the guy. I mean, they had they got Valdez-Scantling, for Christ's sake. I mean, he was let go from Green Bay. He was let go from the Chiefs, and the Chiefs keep everybody, but he can't catch, even though they got him back. They have James Cook, who pretty much runs and catches the ball. So they got like weapons that are mediocre. So they're not gonna do spectacular things. They're gonna rely on Josh Allen to do spectacular things with mediocre weapons. And luckily for them, he hasn't turned into that throwaway master, because we know he's good at throwing interceptions. He still plays serviceable ball that's allowed them to stay in games. And they almost came back and won this game. Literally, the score was 20-20. And they were going into overtime until Fairborn decided that he had the same kicking strength of Sebastian Janikowski, if you guys can remember him from the Las Vegas or Los Angeles Raiders. Kicked a 59-yarder to end the game, and they end up winning 20-23. So again, you can't fault Buffalo for not being a good team, because they're not a good team. They don't have good players. They're just overachieving, but as they play more better teams, we're going to see if they're going to outlast or if their record is going to maintain and be good enough for them to win their division of the AFC East. And honestly, I don't even know, because they play the Jets next. They're both needing to win. I just believe the Jets are more talented. Now, I don't know how they're going to play, but I just think they have a better chance of winning, because Buffalo is Buffalo, and regardless of the fact that Jets defense is still the Jets defense. Now, can they put up enough points to win? That remains to be the detail of that game when it comes, and we all can't wait for it. This may have been a game of the year. You guys watched it, because I damn sure watched it. And that was the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens. Must-see TV. I wish this was a Super Bowl game, and they're in the same conference. That's how good it was. From the start, you kind of knew it was going to be an over game. Yes, I bet games, and you knew Joe Burrow was going to get it back. They always start to, I said it before, they always start to get better. But I think this is too late. And it showed. Joe Burrow was out there dealing. He looked like he was back. He looked like he had something to prove. And more importantly, he looked like he was going to get his team the actual victory this week around. And Jamar Chase, he was out there with something to prove as well. Played a absolutely great game. The old Jamar Chase that we're used to seeing. I mean, at one point you were like, okay, that's impossible for them to lose the way Joe Burrow was playing. I mean, Jamar Chase, for example, he had 193 yards, 10 catches, 2 TDs. So he showed up. Joe Burrow showed up. He had 392 yards, 5 TDs. And here's what the issue was. He had 1 pick, and it was at the end of the game. And all interceptions are not created equal. Had he done it in the first quarter, second quarter, who knows how it would have been. But he did it in a crucial moment that they did not need. They didn't need that. And it affected them. You know why it affected them? Because that gave the Ravens momentum. Momentum going into the next, momentum for the next drive, and they knew that they could win. And let's talk about this guy, Lamar Jackson. This Lamar plays, if this Lamar Jackson comes to play every game, this is the Lamar Jackson we wanted to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs last year. And yeah, I'll be down on Lamar because as much as talented as he is, I don't think he's the better passer of those two, Joe Burrow and Pat, but his skill set is beyond them, and it's not close, in my opinion. But if he comes and plays like this with the way Derrick Henry is running the ball, it's going to be a problem. Yeah, they started off the season losing 2 games, letting the Raiders come back when they were up 10 or 15 points. That's okay. Right now, they don't look like they can be. They don't look like they can be beat. They look like they're finally getting accustomed to having that Derrick Henry running back. He's always like he's going to get a touchdown every game. You think he was good on the Titans when their defense and they had the quarterbacks they had? I mean, come on, Ryan Tannehill, for Christ's sake. Him and Lamar is like literally a watermelon and a grape. It's not even close on size. Pause. But for real though, it was amazing to watch Lamar. I mean, there was a play at the end, just to kind of give you an example, Lamar. Just because Joe Burrow had 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, Lamar wasn't slouch now. He wasn't a slouch at all. He had 348 yards with 4 touchdowns. He had no picks. None. And that's what made the difference in the game. To me, for all we know about Lamar is he always happens to play good. He runs good. He always seems to throw that one interception or fumble that the team doesn't need. And that defense on the back end, those corners, the safeties aren't as great as they used to be, at least right now. So Joe Burrow was lighting them up. But Lamar didn't put them in trouble because he was secure with the ball. He made the right decisions. He was 26. He threw 42 passes and completed 26 of them. 62%, that's very good, especially when you're going against a Joe Burrow who you know is going to be throwing the skin off the ball. And he went toe-to-toe. It is what it is. But more importantly, he had a play towards the end of the game when Hendricks had him dead to rights. The ball was snapped bad. He dropped the ball. The ball went on the ground. It looked like he should have just kneeled down. I thought he was going to run the ball. But Lamar did something I don't think anybody could have ever done. Nobody. Mike Vick, nobody. It is what it is. He picked the ball up, saw the defender. The defender tried his best to pull him down. Lamar pushed him off 3 or 4 times. He looked like Derrick Henry stiff-armed him to the point where the guy got on the ground on his knees, fell on his face, and Lamar, almost running out of bounds, decided to throw a dart to Lively in the end zone. He was Superman on Sunday. He was the best quarterback in the NFL on Sunday. And I don't know if they'll give him another MVP because, unlike some sports, he has to be miraculous this year. And I don't think they'll give it to him because we as fans want to see more because he's had them, right? And he probably doesn't care. He wants to win a championship MVP. And you can only get that by winning the championship. So I wouldn't blame him. But I'll tell you this. The Baltimore Ravens are on a tear. They're on a warpath. And if Derrick Henry is going to be like that, there's only one man that we know. The same man that beat him the first week. There's only one man that I feel can beat him at this point. Now, don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow looked good. but I don't think they're making the playoffs, so I don't think they're going to have to worry about them. And remember, the Pittsburgh Steelers always play good against the Ravens. That's always a slugfest. I can't wait to see that at all. Reason being is because the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, they're no slouch either on defense. Right now, them and the Ravens sit at 3-2 at top of the AFC North. So it isn't like the Ravens ran away with the record because they lost those 2 games early. And Pittsburgh lost to Dallas. A whole nother story. So that's going to be a slugfest as well. And Justin Fields isn't playing the greatest as a passer, but he's managing the plays. He's not throwing the ball away. He's going to run just like Lamar, and that defense is going to hunt. So I can't wait to that slugfest, because that may ultimately decide the NFC North top seed. Honestly, we'll see. But I'll tell you this, the game, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Lamar, Joe Burrow, spectacular. I might watch it again just to get amped up for next week. We'll see. Until then, Lamar, don't do him like that, man. If you're going to do that, hey, you might as well get this Super Bowl out the way. We sick of you not winning. I've been hard on you not winning. You going to play like that. Come on, man. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. This is some breaking news that I didn't expect to even talk about. And it's sad. But today, Robert Saleh got fired from the New York Jets. He got fired. Now, I don't want that to overlook the fact that the Dallas Cowboys did beat the Steelers, like I told you guys about. Dak Prescott had a winning drive, and they ended up beating the Steelers 2017, and it was a delayed game that we thought Dallas would lose because Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence didn't play, and Dak played great. Yeah, sure, I'll get that out the way because I don't care. What's important today is Robert Saleh got fired, and Jeff Ulbrich took over as the interim coach. He's the defensive coordinator, which is really Robert Saleh as well. So they didn't want Nathaniel Hackett, who is the offensive coordinator that Aaron Rodgers picked, to be the interim head coach. I wonder why, because he stunk it up in Denver. So here's where that leaves me. What do they do? And again, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I would like to see the Jets be successful. Hey, I would even like to see him get one more ring. But it doesn't look good. It looks like it's just nothing over there. They waited on Aaron Rodgers. He had a full year. He tore his Achilles tendon. He's back. We thought all these weapons would be good. They end up getting Mike Williams, which was supposedly a bonus coming into the season. And for the most part, their offense looks terrible. Aaron, again, looks a little shaken. He looks older, obviously, which you kind of expected. He has his highs and lows. Again, it's still week 5. That's cool. But they just don't look good. Meanwhile, their defense has been doing their job for the most part. But they fired the man. Why? Because Jeff Ulbrich is going to make a difference now. Antonio Pierce did come in for the Vegas Raiders and did make them look good towards the end of the season. They didn't go anywhere. And who knows, maybe Ulbrich is going to come in and nothing's really going to change. It's just going to be a new person at the front of the line giving speeches and convincing the players to play better, especially the offense. But at the end of the day, the defense is doing their job. It's the offense. Because it really doesn't make sense. And here's another reason it doesn't make sense. I just spoke on the AFC East with the Bills losing. They're 3-2. The Jets are second at 2-3. You have the Dolphins, who aren't going to win anything. They're 2-3, but they suck. Tua's not coming back anytime soon. You have the Patriots, who are really bad. They're 1-4. So literally, they could still win the division and go to the playoffs. They play the Bills this week. And even if it's their first loss, they could ultimately have the best record and win that division. So how do you fire a coach because your expectations aren't where they should be? I have a feeling it was the Broncos' loss more importantly. I don't think it was this loss because Minnesota is really good. But I think the Broncos' loss on top of this loss affected them, because if you want to say this loss affected them, Aaron threw the picks. He threw the interception last. He threw the first 2. Even if you want to say the last one was because Mike Williams don't know about back shoulder fade pass because he was with Justin Herbert. Okay, what about the first 2? And the defense did their part, which is Robert Saleh's calling card. So I don't know what they expect to change. Now, if nothing's going to change because of the defense coordinator, great. But they're still in position to win their division. And it doesn't make sense to me as a fan, as an Aaron Rodgers fan, as a person that would like to see the Jets go far. It doesn't make sense because I don't know what they expect to change. Because nothing is going to change. They're still the same guys. They're still the same players. Now, here's the thing. Are people going to start to blame Aaron? Absolutely right. Because a lot of people don't think him and Saleh had a good relationship. I don't know. I don't go into that. People read body language too wrong because they didn't hug and they pushed each other. It's Aaron Rodgers, so they're going to critique it. Tom Brady pushed somebody or yelled at somebody, he loved them. So, I don't really go into that stuff. I don't know how the relationship was. I just know it was not the best looking on the eye test, but everybody doesn't always have to show it so we can see it, so the cameras can say, oh my God, but you never saw anything bad. They had some difference of opinions in a press conference. That's insane. But regardless of the fact, the offense has to change. Now, we're hearing that Davante Adams wants to be traded. Rightfully so. I hate to see him sit over there in purgatory like Randy Moss did and finally went to New England when people thought he wasn't good anymore. Kind of rings a bell, right? And they didn't win. I hate that they didn't get my boy a ring. At least Davante will get out of there and maybe go somewhere where he'll have a chance. And the Jets want him, from what I understand. Now, I saw something that say that the trade talks are kind of dying down because of the firing of Robert Saleh, thinking maybe things will change. But I think that's bull crap. They go get Davante. Davante gets that back shoulder fade. Mike Williams doesn't. Davante doesn't drop those passes that Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard drops. Davante knows when to get out of bounds instead of stay in bounds with certain stupid plays that I've seen Garrett Wilson do so many times. Now, here's the thing. Is Garrett Wilson going to be pissed off? Because, oh boy, here comes Davante. Is he going to want to sit back? Now, if they're winning, he may be okay with it. But if they're losing, he's going to be pissed off. I think he's going to be pissed off anyway, especially when he first comes in the door. But if they're winning, he may be able to suck it up. But the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, Garrett Wilson, you're not a number one. Or at least right now, it doesn't seem like. Because I've seen you're pretty good, but you don't make the plays that a number one makes. You make good plays. Second, sometimes you're between 2A, 1A, or 2B, 1B, 2A type of receiver, in my opinion. I don't see those spectacular plays that number ones do when a receiver or quarterback really needs you. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen it. So maybe you haven't. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying we know what Davante is, even now, especially with Aaron. And if you got a chance to go get him, especially when you can still win that division, especially when it's only week 5 and you got 12 more weeks to go, you do it. Now, it's the beginning of the year. I mean, it's the start of the season, the beginning, really. And them letting go of Saleh early probably is the reason why they're like, let's do it now, let's get it over with, let's figure out what we're going to do going forward versus waiting to the middle of the season, however they decided. I honestly think unless they made it to the playoffs and played good, he never had a chance because he just had too many losing seasons regardless of his quarterback. Losing seasons is losing seasons. Even though Aaron should have played better and they should have been winning, you still got 3 to 4 losing seasons on your belt, and this one looks losing so far. So maybe this early firing of Robert will help push the team forward, motivate them. Maybe they'll say, man, I hate we got our coach fired, especially from the defensive side. We'll see. But until then, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't really like it. We'll see. We'll see. Now, I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while, and I'm going to do my power rankings, only 1 through 5. And the reason why I say 1 through 5 is because everybody has their opinions. Everybody decide who they like. For me, it's kind of easy. And the number one team to me in NFL right now, even though you guys would like to say that I'm not a prisoner of the moment, is the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't mention their game when they played against the New Orleans Saints, but it wasn't close. It wasn't even worth watching. Derek Carr is always afraid to play against Patrick Mahomes, and I actually thought he would have a good chance. He ended up getting hurt, but it didn't matter. He didn't play good. He looked scared, and it was really a waste of time, honestly. So the Kansas City Chiefs are 5-0. They're 5-0 with Rashee Rice being hurt indefinitely. Isaiah Pacheco, broken fibula. Kareem Hunt is back, which honestly I think he's a better all-around running back than Pacheco. Travis Kelce is playing. He was playing subpar. He's playing a little better now. Noah Gray. Just Juju Smith-Schuster had a miraculous game yesterday. The things they're doing with the players that they have is amazing. So you got to give them the credit. 5-0. Patrick Beal being Patrick, and he's not playing good at all, honestly. And they're still 5-0, mainly because of that defense. I'm going to give them credit because they don't get it because of how good Pat is, but the defense is playing lights out, and they need to be recognized for it. So I'm going to say the Chiefs, number one, because I'm going to start with number one. Number two, the Minnesota Vikings. Why? Sam Darnold is why. 2, Justin Jefferson is why. 3, Brian Flores defense is why. Those guys get after the quarterback. I don't care who they play. They beat San Francisco. They beat the Jets. They beat anybody that's been put in front of them. And they probably got the best front in the league right now, and they're not talked about. With an older back end, Stephon Gilmore and the rest of the guys. And Griffin from Seattle. So it's like they got a lot of old players in the back end. Still, with that front, they're hard to beat. Sam Darnold is playing great football. He's not turning the ball over. He has a great receiver, and the best receiver in Justin Jefferson. And let's not even forget Jordan Addison, who has his times where he looks real good. Aaron Jones got hurt, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. They look amazing. I would give them number one. It's just they're playing exceptionally well, and the Chiefs are playing exceptionally well with not as many weapons. Ain't no Justin Jefferson over there with Patrick Mahomes. Not even Travis Kelce. At this age, can you compare how good he is to Justin Jefferson? And then with their running back being hurt and mixing and matching with Kareem, even though he's been there, you got to give them number one. Number two, the Houston Texans. Yeah, I know they have moments and CJ doesn't look as good as he looks, and Nico Collins did get hurt at the end of the game, which was a hamstring. Hopefully he's okay, but they got weapons. They're 4-1. They've only lost one game, and they have a long way to go with a lot of talent, and honestly, they're just scratching the surface. It's going to get real serious as the season progresses because we're going to see what they're made of, because I don't think CJ has played his best ball either. But yet they're still 4-1. And Joe Mixon isn't healthy. He's been out the last 2 games. Again, we don't know how Nico's going to be. Tank Dell hasn't been getting the ball like he used to. Neither has Dalton Schultz. Maybe that's because Nico's been playing exceptionally well. Maybe that's because Stephon Diggs is on the team. But you don't hear too much complaining. All you see is the team uniting under the head coach DeMeco Ryans. So I got to give them number 3. This one was tough. I'm going to be honest. And the reason why it was tough is because I don't like to be a prisoner of the moment and see things and then just give them because of who they are, but I'm going to do it. The Baltimore Ravens has to be 4. Why? Because they lost 2 games. They're picking up their stride, but you can only go on what you see now. And the fact of the matter is all those teams either lost no games or lost 1 game. They lost 2, and they lost the game to the Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, who aren't good. It is what it is. So they're hitting their stride. You ask me in about 2 or 3 weeks, they'll probably be number 1, and it might not be close. We don't know. All we know is Kansas City still has that victory over them, and they have a long way to go as well. But the way they're playing, they may not lose a game. Who knows? We'll see. And number 5 goes to the Washington Commanders. Why? Because they have one more win than the Detroit Lions, who didn't play. So, yes. They're 4-1. Detroit is 3-1, because that's what I wanted to give the 5th to. But you got to go on what the kid is doing. Nobody expected the Washington Commanders to be leading the NFC East. They are leading the NFC East. He's 4-1. He isn't throwing a bunch of touchdowns. He's just making the right plays. He's running when he needs to. He's throwing when he needs to. He has the best completion percentage in the NFL right now. His weapons he's utilizing to the best of his ability. His running backs are running. He is doing what he needs to do as a rookie quarterback, and it's not close. And Caleb had a great game. So watch out for the Bears if he can continue this. But even the Bears have better, in my opinion, all-around weapons. And we expected the Bears to be way better than the Washington Commanders. And they could be long-term. But right now, you got to go on what you see. And right now, Jaden Daniels, is the man. So that's my 5. The Chiefs, the Vikings, the Texans, the Ravens, and the Commanders. You guys decide if you like it, hate it, or want to steal it. Either way, I want to thank you guys again for watching The Jar. I'll see you soon.